Have you ever wondered why some of the strongest people you know came from the most broken families? Why those who radiate wisdom and inner strength often have stories of childhood trauma that would break most people? There's something profound happening here, something that psychology and spiritual wisdom have been trying to explain for centuries. What if I told you that strong souls don't end up in toxic families by accident? What if there's a deeper purpose, a hidden design that only becomes clear when you understand the true nature of human consciousness and growth? Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in depth psychology, revealed something that will change how you see your own struggle. He discovered that the most profound transformation happens not in comfort, but in conflict, not in safety, but in the very chaos that seems designed to destroy you. And if you've survived a toxic family, if you've emerged from that battlefield with your spirit intact, you are not a victim. You are something far more powerful. Most people live their entire lives on the surface, never diving deep enough to understand who they really are. They float through existence, avoiding pain, seeking comfort, running from anything that challenges their carefully constructed sense of self. But strong souls, they're different. They're thrown into the fire from the very beginning, and that fire doesn't break them, it forges them. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are. But for most people, this journey begins in midlife, if it begins at all. Strong souls born into toxic families start this journey in childhood. They have no choice. Survival itself depends on developing an inner strength that others may never need to discover. You see, a toxic family is like a psychological boot camp designed by the universe itself. Every day is a test of your ability to maintain your sense of self in an environment that constantly attacks it. Every interaction is a lesson in boundaries, in discernment, in the difference between love and manipulation. You learn early that you cannot control others, only yourself. You learn that your peace must come from within, because the outside world offers none. But here's what most people don't understand about this experience. The pain you endured wasn't meaningless. The chaos wasn't random. Your soul chose this precisely because it was strong enough to handle it. Weak souls are given easy lives because that's all they can manage. Strong souls are given difficult lives because they have the capacity to transform suffering into wisdom, trauma into strength, wounds into gifts. Think about it. In a healthy family, children learn to depend on their parents for emotional regulation, for security, for their sense of worth. But children in toxic families learn something far more valuable. They learn to find these things within themselves. They develop what Jung called the transcendent function, the ability to bridge conscious and unconscious, to find meaning in suffering, to transform poison into medicine. This is why so many healers, teachers, and wise souls come from broken backgrounds. They've been forced to develop inner resources that others never needed to cultivate. They've learned to navigate darkness because they've lived in it. They understand pain because they've been intimate with it. And most importantly, they've discovered that even in the deepest darkness, there is always a light that cannot be extinguished. That light is who they truly are. Jung wrote about the wounded healer, the archetype of someone who gains the power to heal others precisely through their own wounds. This isn't just poetry. This is psychological truth. Your toxic family didn't just happen to you, it happened for you. It was the perfect storm designed to awaken abilities you didn't even know you possessed. Every time you were rejected, you learned self-acceptance. Every time you were criticized, you developed inner knowing. Every time you were abandoned, you discovered that you could never truly be abandoned because you have yourself. These aren't consolation prizes. These are the most valuable treasures a human being can possess. But let's be honest about what this journey costs. It's lonely, profoundly lonely. While other children were learning to trust, you were learning to be cautious. While they were learning dependence, you were learning independence. While they were given the luxury of innocence, You were forced into premature wisdom. You grew up too fast, saw too much, understood things that children shouldn't have to understand. And this creates a strange dynamic throughout your life. You're simultaneously more mature and more vulnerable than your peers. You can handle major crises with remarkable calm, but small kindnesses can bring you to tears. You can survive catastrophes, but intimacy terrifies you. You're incredibly strong, but that strength was born from incredible pain. This is the paradox of the strong soul born into toxicity. You develop extraordinary capacities, but you also carry wounds that never fully heal. You become wise beyond your years, but you miss out on the carefree joy that comes with feeling safe and protected. You learn to be your own parent, your own protector, your own source of love, but part of you always grieves for the childhood you never had. Jung understood this deeply. He knew that individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires what he called the sacrifice of the child. But for strong souls in toxic families, this sacrifice happens too early, too violently, without choice. The child within you had to die so that the strong adult could be born. And while this creates remarkable strength, it also creates a grief that lives in your bones. Here's something crucial to understand. Your family didn't create your strength. They revealed it. Your resilience, your wisdom, your ability to see through pretense and manipulation, these weren't taught to you. They were always there, waiting to be awakened. The toxicity was simply the catalyst that forced these dormant qualities to emerge. This is why you often feel different from others, why you can see things they can't see, why their problems seem so simple compared to what you've survived. You've been through a kind of initiation that most people never experience. You've been tested in ways that would break ordinary souls, and the fact that you're here, listening to this, understanding this, is proof that you passed those tests. But surviving is not thriving, and this is where many strong souls get stuck. They become so identified with their struggle that they forget they have the power to create something beautiful from their experience. They remain in victim consciousness, wearing their wounds like badges of honor instead of transforming them into sources of power. Jung was clear about this. The goal isn't to remain wounded. The goal is integration, to take all the pieces of your experience, the light and the dark, the beautiful and the terrible, and weave them into a coherent whole. This is what he called the union of opposites, the sacred marriage between your broken parts and your healed parts. When you achieve this integration, something miraculous happens. You stop being a victim of your past and become the hero of your own story. You realize that every betrayal taught you loyalty to yourself. Every abandonment taught you that you are enough. Every moment of chaos taught you to find peace within. Every experience of hatred taught you the value of love. This doesn't mean you become grateful for the abuse. That's spiritual bypassing, and it's dangerous. What it means is that you recognize the strength that emerged from surviving it. You honor the wisdom that came from walking through hell. You acknowledge that your scars are also your superpowers. Think about gold. It's formed under tremendous pressure and heat deep within the earth. It has to be refined through fire to reveal its purity. Your soul went through the same process. The pressure of your toxic family environment, the heat of constant conflict, these weren't punishments. They were the very conditions necessary to reveal the gold within you. And here's the beautiful truth that Jung discovered through his own journey and his work with thousands of patients. The stronger the soul, the more difficult the early environment. This isn't cruelty, this is precision. The universe doesn't waste strong souls on easy lives. It places them exactly where their strength is needed most, where their light can shine brightest against the darkness. Your toxic family needed you more than you needed them, even though it didn't feel that way at the time. Your strength, your integrity, your refusal to be broken, these qualities brought light into a dark system. You were the candle that refused to be blown out. You were the voice of truth in a house of lies. You were the healthy cell in a diseased organism. But this role came at enormous personal cost. You sacrificed your own needs to try to heal a system that didn't want to be healed. You gave your energy to people who couldn't receive it. You poured love into vessels that had holes in them. And when you finally realized that your efforts were futile, when you finally understood that you couldn't save them, the grief was overwhelming. This is the grief of the awakened soul, recognizing that not everyone wants to be saved. Not everyone is ready for the truth. Not everyone can handle the light you carry. And learning to live with this reality, learning to love people without trying to fix them, learning to shine your light without expecting it to be appreciated, this is one of the hardest lessons a strong soul must learn. Jung called this the dark night of the soul, the period where everything you believed about love, family, and purpose gets shattered. It's devastating, but it's also liberating. Because on the other side of that breakdown is a breakthrough. You stop trying to earn love from people incapable of giving it. You stop trying to prove your worth to those who will never see it. You stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. And in that space, something new is born. A different kind of strength. Not the reactive strength that fights against toxicity, but the proactive strength that creates beauty in spite of it. Not the defensive strength that builds walls, but the wise strength that builds bridges to those who are worthy of connection. This is when you begin to understand your true purpose. You weren't born into a toxic family to suffer endlessly. You were born into it to break the cycle, to heal the generational trauma, to transmute the poison into medicine, to become the ancestor your lineage needs, the one who says, "The pain stops with me." Every toxic family system is a closed loop of unconsciousness, a repeating pattern of hurt, people hurting people. Strong souls are placed into these systems as circuit breakers. Your very presence, your refusal to participate in the toxicity, your insistence on health in an unhealthy environment begins to disrupt the pattern. Sometimes this means you become the scapegoat, the one blamed for all the family's problems. But what they're really reacting to is your light, your truth, your refusal to pretend that dysfunction is normal. You represent everything they could be if they were brave enough to face themselves. And that terrifies them. Jung understood that the scapegoat often carries the family's shadow, all the parts of themselves they refuse to acknowledge. By projecting their darkness onto you, they can maintain the illusion that they are good, clean, innocent. But you know the truth. You've seen behind the masks. You know that the family's perfect members are often the most broken, that their performance of normalcy is just another form of toxicity. And this knowledge, while painful, is also powerful. It makes you immune to manipulation because you can see through it. It makes you allergic to fake relationships because you know what authentic connection feels like. It makes you incredibly discerning because you've learned the difference between someone who loves you and someone who needs you. These are gifts that can't be taught in school or learned from books. They can only be earned through experience. And while the price was high, the value is immeasurable. You have developed what Jung called the capacity for differentiation, the ability to distinguish between what is yours and what belongs to others, between what is real and what is performance, between love and manipulation. But here's where many strong souls make a crucial mistake. They become so good at detecting toxicity that they start seeing it everywhere. They become so protective of their energy that they build walls that keep out not just the bad, but also the good. They become so independent that they forget they're also capable of healthy interdependence. This is why Jung emphasized that individuation is not just about separating from the collective. It's also about finding your way back to conscious relationship. But this time, it's different. You're not relating from neediness or unconscious patterns. You're relating from choice, from strength, from a place of wholeness. When you reach this point, you become what Jung called a wounded healer. Someone who can sit with others in their pain because you know that darkness intimately. Someone who can offer hope because you found it in the deepest despair. Someone who can guide others through the process of transformation because you've walked that path yourself. This is your ultimate purpose, not just to survive your toxic family, but to transform that experience into a gift for the world. To become a beacon of hope for others who are still trapped in similar systems. To show them that it's possible to break free, to heal, to create something beautiful from the ashes of destruction. Your story isn't just about what happened to you, it's about what you did with what happened to you. It's about how you refused to let bitterness consume you, how you chose healing over hatred, how you transformed your wounds into wisdom. This is the hero's journey in its purest form. And if you're reading this, if these words resonate in your bones, then you are that hero. You are the strong soul who was placed exactly where you needed to be to become exactly who you were meant to be. Your toxic family wasn't your curse. It was your catalyst. Your trauma wasn't your weakness. It was your training ground. The pain you've carried, the strength you've developed, the wisdom you've gained. None of it was accidental. You are exactly who the world needs you to be. Your sensitivity is not a burden, it's a superpower. Your ability to see through facades is not cynicism, it's clarity. Your independence is not isolation, it's sovereignty. Jung knew that the goal of individuation is not to become perfect, but to become whole. And wholeness includes everything, the light and the shadow, the beautiful and the broken, the healed and the healing. You don't have to transcend your humanity to be spiritual. You just have to embrace all of who you are. This is the final gift of being a strong soul born into toxicity. You learn that strength isn't about being invulnerable. It's about being vulnerable with wisdom. Love isn't about giving everything to everyone. It's about giving the right things to the right people. Healing isn't about forgetting the past. It's about integrating it in a way that serves your future. You are not broken. You never were. You are a strong soul who was placed in a challenging situation to develop capacities that the world desperately needs. Your pain has purpose. Your struggle has meaning. Your story has the power to heal not just yourself, but everyone who hears it and recognizes their own journey in your words. The toxic family that tried to dim your light only succeeded in teaching you that your light cannot be dimmed. The people who tried to break you only proved that you are unbreakable. The system that tried to silence you only strengthened your voice. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a victor over them. And now, armed with this understanding, you can move forward not as someone trying to escape your past, but as someone integrating it into your present. You can love without losing yourself. You can trust without being naive. You can be strong without being hard. You can be free without being alone. This is the ultimate victory of the strong soul. Not just surviving the toxic family, but thriving because of it. Not just healing from the wounds, but turning them into gifts. Not just breaking the cycle, but creating a new one. A cycle of consciousness, of health, of love that flows both ways. You are the ancestor your family line was waiting for. You are the healing your lineage needed. You are the bridge between the unconscious past and the conscious future. And every day you choose healing over hurting, consciousness over unconsciousness, love over fear. You are completing the work your soul came here to do. If this message has touched something deep within you, if you recognize yourself in these words, then know this. Your journey hasn't been in vain. Your pain has had purpose. Your strength has been forged in the fires of adversity, and now it's time to use that strength not just to survive, but to thrive, to create, to love, to heal, to become the fullest expression of who you were always meant to be.